Good morning, lovely. ZoëTwoDots here with some not Pokemon Go goodness for you. Kind of as is, I guess, maybe becoming tradition. I'm doing these kind of like little compare and contrast videos when I get back from new countries. So if you guys saw my previous one on this of Australia versus USA, which is more specifically like East Coast Australia versus Chicago, this is going to be my Australia versus Mumbai. So not specifically the entirety of India because I haven't seen the entirety of India. Just kind of like comparing and contrasting my experiences and how I felt traveling around Mumbai. So first of all, big thank you to the Pokemon Go Mumbai League for this t-shirt. I absolutely love it. Got my name and bird on the back as well. Fits wonderfully, and I appreciate you guys taking the time and the effort to make us our own team shirts, so thank you. So first up and first comparison, I guess, would be the food. And straight away, I mean, I'm sure you could guess this for just about any country, actual Indian food in India kicks the crap out of Indian food in Australia, just full stop. I mean, I feel like that would be standard for just about anywhere you visit of the creator of that food. But for me, and don't hate me for saying this, but for me, for the last like several years, I think, in Australia, whenever we're like getting takeaway food, and it's like, oh, I could kind of go for anything, but I'm just not feeling Indian. Like for the last few years, I just have not had a craving for Indian food for a while, and I feel like that's because the kind of like Australian takeaway Indian is just so less flavorful and it's so sweet. So like for me, a butter chicken in Australia is disgustingly sweet. I don't really like sweet foods, and I can really notice it in like takeaway versions of Indian food. So for me, actually like just sitting down on the first night and having that massive like vegetarian, what did I have? We all shared our meals, but I had like the ghee masala and Nick had these like okra veggies in curry and all this sharing, and I was just like, oh my lord, the amount of flavors in this just like puts everything that I've experienced, I mean, it's probably more specifically to Newcastle, puts just about everything in Newcastle to shame in comparison. And I really feel like that's probably because westernized Indian food is more catered towards maybe a westernized or a weaker, a less adventurous westerner's palate. It's not as full of spice, not as spicy, not as kind of impactful on the flavor in Australia. Whereas definitely even just getting a regular curry in India, it doesn't have to be spicy, but the spices are phenomenal. Just the level of flavor and like the layers in the flavor and the spices as well, just phenomenal. Like so good. Like so many things that I ate that weren't specifically spicy, but the layers of spices, I genuinely need to find like some authentic like home done recipes to try and replicate that, because there's just so many amazing flavors like that I'm actually genuinely like, now being home, I'm like, I want some good Indian. I'm sure probably some of you Sydney-siders will have some great recommendations for Indian food as well. So I mean, if you've got a best spot, leave it in the description. That'd be great, because I need some of that proper, authentic, good stuff. Favorites from the trip would have been the, I mean, like besides curries and stuff, the vada pav. That was crazy tasty as just like a little like takeaway kind of item. The ghee masala I had a few times, really loved it. There's a few others that I probably couldn't name. Palak paneer, I really enjoyed. The butter chicken in India, in Mumbai. Really good, not sweet, amazing. The naans, of course, the dosas, of course, super tasty. And as like a unusual aside, I think many, maybe all of you guys might know that I'm lactose intolerant. I can't have cheese. Cheese is my favorite food. It's a horrible thing. But the paneer, so paneer is essentially cheese. It's boiled cow's milk with lemon added and then like put aside to become cheese. For whatever reason, I didn't have a bad reaction to that. I didn't eat heaps of it. I tried like little bits along the way, and then on the last night I had like I had half a paneer palak like dish, and I didn't have any cramps, like no sickness from it, which I'm really curious what that is, because I doubt the boiling would destroy the lactase in it. I'm curious if maybe the addition of lemon, like maybe the acids somehow bind to or destroy the lactase enzyme. I genuinely have no idea, but both me and Nick were able to eat paneer without like getting sick from it, because he's also lactose intolerant. So yeah, cheers India for a cheese that I can possibly consume. I need to find out how to get it in Australia now. But yeah, I'm willing to kind of like re-attempt that and see if I can eat it again back here if it works, because that would be an awesome alternative. Sticking on food and things like that, the sweets are so sweet. Like so insanely sweet. A few of you guys actually joked at the community day like, oh, we should have brought you some sweets, but you wouldn't be able to handle it. And I'm like, yeah, you're correct. As a person who doesn't really like sweets as well, like I have to be really in the mood for sweets. just the level, like here is regular sweets and then here is Indian sweets. It's just another tier up of intensity in sweetness. Like still really good flavor, but I mean, I couldn't do more than like one sweet this big. Thank you as well to the lovelies who did bring us as well some like homemade like sweets and pastries and things. Like those were crazy tasty. Again, super sweet. I could only really eat one, but like the flavor was amazing. And especially the one that was made from like cashew nuts, like ground up cashew nuts and something else. I should Google it before I made this video. That was really, really good and a great alternative to if you are someone who is vegan or lactose intolerant. A really good like sweet and like traditional dish to try there too. I'll kind of put the text here or something. There's a few comments as well saying like, oh, how's your stomach feeling now after the curries? There's a lot of misconception, I think, about like traveling and spicy food making you sick. I mean, I'm sure if you have a weak gut, you might not be able to tolerate spicy food, but that's not me. Like spicy food doesn't do that to me. I did, however, get food poisoning from someone touching my food. So I got food poisoning, I'm pretty sure, because me and someone else in the group did get it like at the exact same time that it was from the Wadapal on the night of Holika. And I doubt it was from the actual food stall themselves. My food was just touched by a few people before it actually got to me, who I don't know what they have touched. I don't know if they've washed their hands, all that kind of jazz. So it was probably honestly someone who got my food for me and like touched it and handed it to me. I wasn't having a great time. My stomach was, you know, pretty upset. But I mean, it didn't really stop me from continuing to eat, and I had another one the next day anyway. So I mean, you live, you roll with it. It is what it is. I'm fine now. As I had kind of expected, I knew that there would be cows in the street. I didn't realize, I guess, I mean, not even how many there were, but just how chilled out they were. I mean, as you guys may or may not know, cows are the holiest animal, considered the holiest and most sacred animal in India. So they are protected. I mean, in Mumbai, you cannot have beef. Beef is banned as a consumption, you know, you don't eat the cow in Mumbai. Can't get it, which is, I think, awesome. Like, nice. But the cows themselves, you just see people coming up and feeding them bananas or feeding them their, you know, their daily breakfast, their lunch and things like that. Very relaxed, even in the middle of the streets and on the sidewalks. They're just chilling there, enjoying the sun. People walk around them, give them their space. It was especially nice to see on Holi, actually, on the, you know, the essentially public holiday for everyone. Everyone was off in their homes playing with colors, and the streets were virtually empty on Holi. To see cows in spaces that we hadn't seen them before in the middle of roads and people taking their care to go around them, slowing down to, you know, make space for the cows was really wonderful. One of our friends actually as well told us that if you are involved in a car accident with a cow and you injure that cow, you will get a fine, you will get in trouble, even if it's completely accidental, apparently. Like, even if it's just like, oh no, it walked down in front of me and I hit it. Because they are such highly regarded and respected animals, you should be paying more attention, which I thought was really interesting. So yeah, be aware and respect your cows. As well, the stray dog thing was kind of interesting. Again, one of our friends actually told us that there was a debate a few years ago about whether or not, you know, the stray dog population was getting so out of control. There was this debate about whether or not they should cull the dogs, because we were actually talking about kangaroos in Australia being a pest in certain areas and culling kangaroos. You know, how did we deal with that? How is Australia dealing with that problem? How did India and Mumbai deal with the stray dog problem? That they actually apparently, you know, rounded up as many of the dogs as they could and got them desexed or neutered, put them back on the street, and apparently since then he barely sees any puppies in the street. So it's kind of like naturally decreasing the stray dog population and the issue of stray dogs, which was really interesting to hear about. We had no incidences with stray dogs. We certainly saw them every single day. A lot of them looked really well fed and well cared for. But yeah, no growly, angry dogs or anything like that. So you can be fairly, you know, comfortable when you walk around on the streets that you're not going to get attacked by a stray dog. Apparently they get a bit more active at night, but we didn't have any instances of that. As I'm sure you guys might have seen as well in the comments before I left, a lot of people saying to me and Holly, you know, make sure you don't go anywhere by yourself, you know, be very safe in India, XYZ, women getting attacked, assaulted, things like that. Had zero instances of that. I know on several occasions me and Holly went out just by ourselves, like together by ourselves, without the guys. No one approached us, no one tried to talk to us, no one was weird. I know Holly by herself went out one night. I mean, I'm sure probably everyone else just happened to be asleep that would have been out on the street. She reported no negative interactions. Yeah, I had nothing negative. I mean, the whole time we were with someone else. And I believe Mumbai comparatively is a fairly safe area to be in. We weren't staying right in the middle of the city. We were kind of in the near Car West. But again, like anytime that we needed help and we stopped to ask someone, they were more than willing to help with what they could. For the day of Holi, you know, we asked you guys for kind of suggestions of where to go if there's parties, where should we go, who should we play with, and everyone was like, you know, you can play anywhere. So we literally just walked around until we found, you know, a family from the previous night, invited us into their home. They fed us. Like, everyone was pretty easy to get along with, pretty easygoing, lovely community. Next up, the selfie culture in India, in Mumbai, is intense. Y'all love a good selfie. So first selfie interaction was at the Gateway of India with what I assume is more like domestic tourism. So I doubt, you know, people from Mumbai go to the Gateway of India to go and snap photos there. They probably, if they're playing Pokemon Go, they're going there because the spawns are crazy there. But a lot of other tourists from India, and I'm guessing from surrounding countries as well, were very interested in me and Holi as possibly part of the tourist attraction. I think I am in no less than 200 tourist photos in the Gateway of India in someone's family album now. Just, you know, madam, one selfie, one last selfie, one more selfie, madam, please, last selfie. I like that. It was overwhelming, but fine. Like, it wasn't negative. It was just made it very hard to work at the Gateway of India. I mean, a lot of people said, like, you should have just said no, or you know, brushed them away, and we were saying no, but they didn't stop someone from doing this, getting in your, you know, trying to grab a photo essentially. But yeah, selfies. You guys like selfies, that's fine. And again, it's probably because Holi and I would look unusual. Two white chicks, one's got blue hair. I'm personally kind of familiar with this, having traveled since a fairly young age. When I was, you know, 4 or 5 years old in Singapore, I was the little tourist attraction. A lot of like Chinese, Singaporean, Japanese families wanted to take photos with me because I was, you know, cute little brown-haired, white-skinned, green eyes kid, which they don't see all the time in Japan or in China. So it was like, that's cool. Can we get a photo with your kid? And parents are like, sure, go for it. So I'm kind of familiar with that. And again, when I was in Japan as a exchange student and things like that, you know, a lot of people my age that were Japanese were like, oh my God, there's like it's Australian chick, let's go get a photo together. People that, you know, don't see people like you all the time. I think in Australia and in the US, we have this benefit of a very, very multicultural society. We have people of all shapes, colors, sizes, religions, creeds, whatever it might be. So we see a variety of people day to day. A lot of other countries don't have that. So I'm kind of like, I'm used to it. It's not like so many in the comments being like, oh, those dudes were so thirsty. And it's like, maybe, maybe not. Like, maybe I just look different and they're like, everyone else is getting a picture with her, let's do it. So no harm, no foul. And again, then on community day, these are the people that actually knew us, which was nice. So at least all the selfies on Com Day were for people. I mean, at least I think the majority of the people were Com Day people. I saw a few phones with that Pokemon Go and I was like, you're just getting involved because everyone else is doing it. But again, I think I'm in no less than 500 photos from Com Day, but at least it was for you guys. Absolutely crazy way to play, definitely. I'm glad I did get my shiny before getting to the park, just in case I didn't get much gameplay in, but I still was able to check and play and all that good stuff. So yeah, it was very interesting, just the selfie culture, as opposed to, I think maybe in the US or maybe in Australia as well, it might be more like people kind of like waiting for their opportunity for when you got your phone down, they're like, okay, we'll get in now when she's not playing. We'll ask for a selfie. Whereas you guys are like, let's get in there, let's get this done, because you know you might miss out. And of course, we don't come to India that often. This is our first time for a lot of us, so I can totally understand. But selfie culture is wild in India, so be prepared for that. Another thing we noticed, there's not really many bins, so I did try to take my rubbish with me wherever I went and bring it back home to like the Airbnb, which does mean there's a lot of litter on the streets, so just kind of be aware of that, be prepared for that. I didn't want to personally contribute to the rubbish because there's so many signs everywhere being like, don't make rubbish, but I'm like, where do I put my rubbish? So I don't know, just another observation. And lastly, an observation as well, and I really want to be very clear here that this isn't trying to make some sort of like stereotypical, like making a stereotypical or a racy kind of comment, anything like that. This is purely observation of gestures. So I wanted to comment on like the head gestures and nods in India. So I find Australia is a very hand gestury, head gestury, facial gestury country. Same with, you know, Japan, there's a lot of bowing and nodding for certain things. Trying to learn the specific nods or like the kind of like head nod in India for certain positive or negative things. So one thing that really caught me off guard was if someone's taking a photo of you at first, they take a photo and then do this at the end, like this really gentle like nod to the side. And in Australia, if someone goes like, That's a negative. It's like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't, yeah, nah. So people were taking this photo of me and then they go, I'm like, oh no, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, oh, is it okay? And they're like, thank you. I'm like, okay, is it good? The little, like that gentle nod after a photo is like, cool, we're done. This is good, thank you. Like, it's this really gentle and subtle, like tilt to the side, but it caught me off guard for so many days because I was like, is it good or not? Is everything okay? Because in Australia, that's not good. It's not good. So that was the first one they had to get used to. So if you're traveling to Mumbai and you see the little nod at the end, everything is a-okay. And the second one as well was just like this really kind of positive and gentle, like bounce to the side. So, you know, maybe if I gave someone a compliment or thanked them for their time, or we got a photo together or whatever it might have been, this like really gentle like nod to side is, hey, everything's positive, it's good. So that was a really cool like kind of thing to start interpreting. I don't know if I encountered any of the negative like facial or like body gestures because I don't think we did anything bad while we were there, I'm fairly certain. So I can't really give you a heads up for what that might look like if you did something to annoy someone. I don't particularly know, but the little gentle nod to the side, everything's all good, and the positive nod as well was a good way to kind of like learn the indicators for, I mean, so that someone's happy, that what you've said is okay. So yeah, I really love, like one of my favorite things, I suppose, about the world is language and body language and interpreting other people's language and how we act and wave. So I think another thing as well, you know, if you say in Australia, like come here, it's a scooping motion. In India, come here is more of it's a palm down. You don't do palm up, it's like come here. And in Japan, it's this, which, you know, this in Australia is go away. But this in Japan is come here. So I find all these like little gestures very interesting. So yeah, it's one of the things that I like to learn and observe when I'm traveling. So that way you can be a better little traveler, you know, if something's good or negative. So yeah. Let me know, have you guys ever been to Mumbai? Have you ever been to India? And what were the experiences that you had that were different to where you live at home? I mean, I suppose one massive major one for me is the roads. There is like, it might be the green man time for crossing, but that does not mean you can cross safely. In Australia, if the green man is green, you can go, and if someone hits you, oh boy, are they in trouble. They're not supposed to go. Whereas in Mumbai, it was like, hold on to your butts and try to make it across without getting hit. You know, you have to have this conscious connection with the driver, that you're both reading each other's body languages, you're reading the car language as whether or not you need to go in front or behind that car, and kind of like get into this flow, which you just don't have to think about in Australia. So what were your experiences when you visited Mumbai? Are you planning to go to India in the future? Has this been at least mildly helpful for you? Let me know in the comments down below. I just wanted to say again, a massive thank you to the Mumbai community for having us, for hosting us, for welcoming us. You guys were so enthusiastic and just loving and welcoming and kind and energetic, and it was honestly one of the best experiences of my life. No matter how different and like maybe jarring certain aspects of like adjusting to Mumbai were, it was ultimately wonderful. So thank you so much for a brilliant trip. And I hope to be back in India at some point. It will most likely not be this year. Realistically, it probably won't be this year. I know a lot of people saying we need to come to Diwali, the Lights Festival. I would love to do that, but I don't know if it's going to be this year. Keep your eyes peeled though. I, of course, will let you guys know what's happening on the channel whenever I can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful morning, noon, night, whatever time it is for you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.